Physical Education. I am Jason C. Lopez, a determined and hardworking first-year student of Bukidnon State University. Today, I am going to show, to perform, and execute what are the three main categories of fundamental body movements such as locomotor, non-locomotor, and manipulative movement skills. But we must know first what is the meaning of it. First, locomotor movement skills are those in which the body is moved in one direction or a combination of a direction from one point to another. Also, non-locomotor movements, the movements occurring above as stationary base, movement of the body in one place around its own axis. And lastly is manipulative movements. Manipulative movements are ways of handling an object like a ball with the hands, feet, or the other body parts. It is also a skills that requires an ability to handle an object or piece of equipment with control. So, we start for the non-locomotor movement skills. There are the example of non-locomotor movement skills. First, stretching, bending, swinging, twisting, turning, swaying, wiggle, rotation, punching, and many more. And now, let's start from it. First, we have stretching. Stretching refers to the extending a joint in order to make a body part as long and strength as possible. Next is bending. Bending, it involves movement a joint. Next is swinging. Implies a movement of something attached at one end or one side. Next is twisting. Twisting involves a rotating movement around the axis of the body while the base of the body remains stable. Next is the turning. Turning is to cause to change position by moving through an arc of a circle. Next is swaying. Swaying is to move gently from an upright to a leaning position. Next is shaking. Shaking is how to shake your body movement through your hands objects. The next is swing. Next is wiggle. Wiggle is to move and through with quickly jerky or shaking motions. Next is rotation. This is where the limb moves in a circular movement around the flexed joint toward or away from the midline of the body. Next is punching. To hit someone or something with your fist or close hand. And the next is the locomotor movements. These are the example of the locomotor movement skills such as walking, running, jumping, hopping, climbing, galloping, sliding, leaping, skipping, and many more. And now let's start. First is walking. Walking is a type of cardiovascular physical activity which increases your heart rate. Next is running. Running is the activity of the moving fast on a foot, especially as a sport. Next is jumping. Jumping is the transfer of weight from one or both feet to both feet. Next is sliding. Sliding is a type of frictional motion between two surfaces in contact. Next is galloping. Galloping is a skill that can be performed with either foot as the lead. Next is jumping. Jumping is the transfer of weight from one or both feet to both feet. Next is hopping. Hopping is a springing action that involves taking off from one foot and landing on that same foot. Next is leaping. Leaping is a jumping forward or back with one leg outstretched, taking off on one foot and landing on the other foot. Next is climbing. Climbing is to go upward or raise oneself, especially by grasping or clutching with the hands. Lastly, skipping is a step and a hop on one foot followed by a step and a hop on the other foot. And the next is the main categories of fundamental body movements, manipulative movement skills. And these are examples of manipulative movement skills: dribbling or bouncing, throwing, catching, hitting, swinging, kicking, volleying, rolling, lifting, and many more. Next is throwing. Throwing is an act or projecting or casting something through the air with a rapid motion of the arm and wrist. Next is dribbling or bouncing. Dribbling or bouncing is an act of kicking or tapping quickly to keep the object moving. And next is catching. Catching is an act of receiving object. Next is hitting. Hitting it is to deal a blow or stroke to come against an impact of collisions. Another is kicking. Kicking is an act of using foot to apply free to object on ground starting point on the ground. Next is volleying. Volleying is striking a ball or object while it is in the air by using variety of body parts. Next is rolling. Rolling is a movement by turning over and over on an axis. Next is punting. Punting is an act of kicking the ball after it is dropped from the hands and before it reaches the ground. And next is lifting with two watered plastic bottles. It is a type of strength training that uses weight for resistance. It helps building muscles, strengthening your bones and joint, reducing ensuring risk, and improving heart health. Another is swinging with two watered plastic bottles. It is also help building muscles, strengthening your bones and joint.
Prepare and work.
Another is squat with two watered plastic bottles. It is sitting with one's knees bent and one's heels, those two or touching one's buttocks or the backs of the one's thighs.
Cycle 6 complete.
Another exercise that uses modified manipulative materials, that is the jumping rope. Jumping rope is an exercise in which a person jumps repeated while a length of a rope is swung over and under both ends, held in the hands of the jumper.
3, 2,
Those are the three main categories of fundamental body movement skills. For those who watch this video, I hope you learned something from it. You can do this manipulative exercise in your home. Don't forget to eat nutritious food, stay hydrated, and keep safe. Thank you for watching.